I did it! I beat them! Oh boy. Oof. This is easily up there with one of the hardest bosses I have ever defeated. Not only a skill set I don't have, which is dealing with bullet hells, which is now up there. It's getting better. But god damn, what a war this is. Like, it's full just kitchen sink. Just throw everything at you. And GG if you make it. GG if you make it. The Exomex, the second to last boss. But also, as I found out, it's one of the either-or last bosses. You can do the next one, which I've now found out is Supreme Witch Calamitous. That will be our final boss. Or you can do the Exomex. Either-or. And the Exomex just happens to be the one I knew how to get. I didn't know how to get Supreme Witch Calamitous. I'd never heard of it. So the Exomex is where we went. Jesus Christ. I like this boss a lot, despite the obvious... The word is bullshittery. I was thinking of a more polite word, but there's a lot of bullshittery that happens with this boss. But despite that, overcoming it, there is that sense of, like, got you. I got you. And I'm pretty confident that it would not take me too long to kill this again because of all the learning you have to do. My God. So much learning, because you get a choice of 3 bosses, and they then change how the fight works. So you have a progression path of like, okay, let's do each one of the 3's first phase, figure those out. Then you start mixing up what's going to be second, because then you get a completely different phase, and they do mechanics that you'd never seen before at all, and they don't do if you do them in a different way. And then you do the last one. And the way I finally figured out, that my big prog point was breaking through the 3rd boss in the order. That's what I was after. I was getting reasonably comfortably and consistently with 2 bosses done, hitting the 3rd one, and not quite making it over the line. And so I knew in my heart of hearts there's something after this. And my suspicion was that Dradon, who is the actual, like, engineer of this encounter, is going to appear. So you defeat the 3 creations, and then Dradon himself appears, and we have a new boss fight. That seemed excessive based on every other boss we've done in the game so far, because that would mean it was going to be a long fight, but also this is the end. So this is where they're like, okay, we're going to have a horrifically nightmarish ending to you. So I knew something was coming. We finally broke through that wall and found out how this fight works. And it's basically, the best way it was described in gamer lingo is 1, 2, 3, 3, 2, 1. And what that means is you choose your first boss. You'll do that until like 50%. Then boss 2 will arrive, and you'll do that till like 50%. Then boss 3 will arrive, and you'll do the entirety of that phase from 100 to 0. Then boss 3 and 2, boss 2 and 1 will reappear, but you defeat boss 2 from its remaining 50 down to 0, and then you have the finale with boss 1. Whichever boss you chose first is going to be finale. Now, this actually proved almost like a disaster for me, because the hardest of all the 3, by far, for me, is the eyeballs. Really vicious. Like, the worm is bad, and we'll talk about that later, but the eyeballs are just relentless. They're absolutely relentless. They have constant spew of bullets and mechanics and explosions that you have to manage. And sometimes, if you are pixels out of position, it will mess it up. So you have a guy who's doing a constant machine gun, which you can bait. He does like a little laser, and it tracks you down to the millimeter, and then you can swing around and try and get around it. However, at the same time, the other eye is going to be throwing grenades at you. And on occasion, like reasonably regularly, those grenades will be exactly where you need to go. And you don't really have a choice, because if you go slightly the other way, the machine gun's going to catch you. If you go the other way, the machine gun's going to catch you. You have to go in this particular angle to get away from the machine gun, but there's going to be a grenade there, and you've either got to try and get out of that, or it's just too late and you have to take that damage. And just bear in mind, everything in this fight nearly kills you within a couple of hits. You can survive some. It's not as bad as, say, Devourer of Gods in places, but it's going to take a third, if not a third, if not more of your HP off every single time, which is utterly brutal. Utterly brutal. So I found, after some different combos of messing around, that if I could, and my thought process was, because I was expecting another boss to show up at the end, Dradon, is like the eyes. If I get through the eyes, I know a lot about the robot, which is Ares, the big giant robot man. I could probably manage that, and the worm is a worm. Or so I thought. The worm is a worm. I've defeated the Devourer of Gods. I've done the Eidolon worm. I've done so many different worms. A worm is a worm. Pretty sure we're going to be fine with that. So we'll do that as the final, as like a mid-boss. So I tried that, and that was okay, except that the robot mixed with the eyes does an entirely different phase that I was not comfortable with. So I was like, okay, I'm not really wanting to relearn an entire fight. So I tried eyes, worm. No, I tried eyes. How did I do it? I'm so fried on this boss. Yeah, I did eyes, robot, worm. Because once we figured out how the fight works, I was like, okay, we can do the worm in the middle and then come back. And eyes, robot turned out to be almost free. Like, as far as this fight goes, almost free. All it's doing is spinning around at a consistent speed with giant lasers. That's not too bad. Like, it's not going to change direction and suddenly accelerate like it does if you do the robot at a different point. And then all you have to deal with is one of the eyes shooting homing tracking missiles at you, and the other eye darting around the room, firing off bullets in all the cardinals and intercardinal directions. And I kind of noticed that as long as you are doing some sort of tight circle around the boss, the homing missiles will lock onto you but kind of miss you because you're already moving. And the bullets, if you're at a certain distance, generally miss you. And I say generally because it worked, I don't know, 3 out of 5 times. 3 out of 5 times. And in this fight, that is considered free. And it also had a phase where all you do is move vertically down consistently and nothing will hit you until the end phase. We'll come back to that. So I felt pretty comfortable that it's like I could get through that. And then it got to the worm. In my mind going into this should be free. It's a worm that charges and darts you. This is horrible. It's cruel. It's really cruel how this works. So I'm convinced that there's no real damage thresholds. There is one. They have a phase 1 and phase 2, which happens at 50%, which it can reset its mechanics, which makes this fight infinitely worse when it happens. But also, the worm can essentially just choose from one of 4 different mechanics, and it's entirely random what it's going to choose. It's completely random. Now, I know how to counter every single one of them. The problem is, 2 of the mechanics require you to start close to the boss. 2 of the mechanics require you to be far away from the boss. And it's random which one it's going to be. And that is a nightmare. A nightmare. Because you know if it's going to do, say, missiles, where it'll shoot these like missile things, and then they're going to shoot lasers all over the place, and then bullets are going to come out of there, that you move away from the boss, because it's going to create this tight, intricate pattern, and the further you are away, the more space you have to maneuver. Very much makes sense. However, it might choose to do its laser attack, which requires you to be very close, because this laser comes out in an arc, and if you are not on the other side of the boss, so you know where it is, and you're here, and it's going to aim at you, so you have to swing around, so you need to be close to do that, then it's going to fill the entire screen with lasers that take 80% of your HP, and you're going to die. He could also choose to start charging you again, which is immediate on phase change. So it'll go, say, 3 lasers, 1, 2, 3, charging you, and you're dead, because that hits you for 80% of your HP as well. He could also decide to do this giant red mega bomb, where you have to be very far away, because it's so big it fills the screen, and it follows you, and if it touches you, you die. And this combination drove me insane. Insane. Especially if you hit that 50% threshold where he resets, and he can choose to do the same thing again. And then you're like, wait a minute, now it's doing 8 lasers. It should do 3, but now it's doing like 8 of them, and it might do something else after that. I think most of my wipes were probably actually on the worm. Especially if he wanted to recharge you, his second charge goes on forever. It's like 30 or 40 seconds, and if he touches you, you're dead. So it was horrible. It was absolutely horrible. So I spent a lot of the day working through that. But then it came back, once we started getting through that more regularly, we found out, okay, then the robot and the eyes return, and it basically does the same thing again. It just now has 3 spinning lasers, much more bullets, much more missiles. But the general idea still works. As long as you're moving in a kind of tight pattern and you're not sitting in one place for too long, which means the homing missiles will get you, you can kind of rotate around and you should be generally okay. It then throws another twist in with the old way of doing things, which is just go straight vertically down. Now it alters so that there's now things coming up from underneath you. It only needs a minor adjustment to the right, but you've just got to notice it's like, oh, it's added in an extra attack here to prevent you doing that, because they know that's how you counter that in the first one. So we're going to add something in. So it's a very specific point. You've got to just shift ever so slightly to get out of there. And then it came down to the finale. I finally made it. I finally got to just the eyes remaining. All I noticed as this happened was that I didn't notice that thankfully we had VOD review. I was shooting them. They were just staring at me for like a 5-second period. One thing I didn't notice is while this is happening, there's a bunch of RP going on in the chat log. And they're staring at me. And I'm just plowing into them because they've got barely any health left, right? They've got barely any health. I'm just plowing into them. And then suddenly I noticed a white light encroaching on the side of the screen and growing. So I was like, oh no. And started running. As they then started ram dash charging me. And I was like, oh my god, we're ram dashing for the finale while I was trying to shoot them. And they killed me. Straight to the VOD. I was like, I don't know what the hell that white light was. It looked bad. Are they dropping bombs? What is it? They're blowing up the world with a giant nuke, essentially. And I read the RP, which is like, our power systems are on low. It's near the end. Enact the destruction protocol. And then I noticed, thankfully for the VOD review, they're not taking any damage. And I was like, it's just a survive phase. Enter my solution, the toilet. I built a toilet. I was like, it just occurred to me, it's like, wait a minute. These things like charge around trying to hit you. So what if we built a toilet chute that went all the way down to hell, and then we sat on King Slime, the mount, which has ridiculous drop speed. It like really plummets you to the ground. It's been crucial in some fights to be able to drop down. And just got into this toilet hole and just put on King Slime and then hands off keyboard, and their charges will never be able to reach me because I'll be moving too fast. And if it's a survive phase, if I make it all the way to hell and it's not over because this explosion, this nuke is just enveloping the entire area you've been fighting. It's destroying everything. Doesn't physically destroy everything, which is a good move. I think it would have been really sad if it actually like eradicated all the tiles in your base and things like that. But it is like if you touch it, you're dead. That I should be naturally away from that. So I built the toilet. I built a nice big long chute down to hell. I put arrows in the arena because depending on where I finished, I wanted to know exactly where the toilet entrance was because it's just going to vertically drop you straight down. So I built these like arrows out of torches to point at the toilet. It's like, go that way, go this way, and you will land in the toilet. So I was like, okay, I can see it on the map because the torches made a big giant arrow as to where to go. And I had this plan in action. The very next pull after I did that, I got back to the desperation phase. I got all the way back there and I was like, go, 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 go to the toilet. And I got down there. Didn't quite make it because I was too high up. Didn't quite make it, but noticed something immediately that was like, the toilet doesn't work. So I went back to the VOD review, and it turns out because you're moving in one direction, what they do is they line up directly in front of you, and they, regardless of how fast you're going, they're going to charge right through you and kill you. So it doesn't matter how fast you're going, it makes no difference. They're going to get you if you're moving in one direction. So I was like, okay, the toilet doesn't work. What to do? What to do? And it's like, I have to play it, right? That is the solution. Is like, we've got to actually play this mechanic. So what do we do? And I was like, the only solution I have, given our very brief experience with this phase, is diagonal movement. So we charge up, bait them that way, charge down, charge up. So we do zigzags while also moving horizontally across the world. But that also meant I then had to destroy the skyline of my world. All the planets that have appeared over the week or so we've been playing this game that have been added into the game, they all need to go because we can't be bumping into planets and things because I don't know how long this is going to go on for. I might need to use the entire world to get across. Which is then when people pointed out, is like a lot of people build what they call world arenas for these last bosses, and I'm in like not that. I've expanded my original Eye of Cthulhu arena essentially. So I was like, okay, I'm not doing that because we've already enraged, and all I need is this space across the skyline in order to avoid this. So I cleared out a bunch of that. I like drilled it all out on my little robot mount, and was like, okay, we're ready. Took me a little while to get back to it. Like, we were more consistent, but it's still an extraordinarily brutal fight. Got all the way there. It happened. Saw it going, and I was like, okay, And you can probably see it in the clip. I'm just going, we go up, we go down, we go up. And I'm not even looking. Like, this is my strategy. If this doesn't work, I don't know what we're supposed to do. We go up, we go down. And it worked perfectly. I never got hit. I worked perfectly, and then poof, it was over. And part of me then noticed, I was like celebrating until I realized that Dredon was now stood in front of me. And I was like, oh my God, there's another phase, and just blasted it in the face and killed him. Turns out that's like a meme, thank God. That's like a meme. And he just goes, in the chat log, he's going, well, that was unnecessary. And I'm like, not really. Screw you, dude. Like, I thought there was another phase to this fight, getting that done, which was very cool. And we did it. I was overjoyed. This has been... I think it was less pulls than the Devourer of Gods, but the Devourer of Gods, I think it came out at like 350, something like that. But this fight is much longer. Doesn't just one clap you the second you start. Like Devourer of Gods, as I said in that fight, is like you could just die in the first second, so it racks up pulls very quickly. This was not that. There's a lot of learning involved. This was a genuine progression boss. A lot of learning, a lot of trial and error, a lot of mixing combinations, lots of all those things. Great boss. Absolutely great boss. Really cool. Loot. Loot was interesting. Did give me some loot, but Dredon's Heart was a very powerful item it gave me, and might utilize that on Calamitous. It's a defensive thing. It gave me new armor, which is more like celebratory armor than actual upgrade to the armor I have. Weapons-wise was really interesting. It gave me some really cool weapons. I think there's one called Heavenly Gale, a big giant bow. There was another laser cannon, a grenade launcher, all sorts of stuff. But general DPS-wise, lower than what I'm using now, which is the halibut cannon in tribute to Total Biscuit. Total Biscuit was with me all the way, which was really nice. But they do things like crazy homing and all that kind of stuff. So it's less DPS, but they like lock in and do different things. I don't know what we're going to use, because I did like a couple of pulls on Supreme Witch Calamitous. Which is a very different encounter. It locks you in. There's a physical wall it builds around its arena to keep you trapped so you can't run away from things. And is a worm, again, but a worm dies very quickly. And then encountered the weirdest bug ever that really almost spoiled reaching the end of Infernum, is that there's a bug with the audio on the very first worm. Although it doesn't live very long, it was so loud. It was the bullet collision on the worm was 10x louder than everything else in the game. Don't know why. We thought it was maybe just our gun interacting with it. Tried some different weapons. Still very loud. Really odd, to the point that it was unwatchable and unplayable. I could mute the sound, but now I can't hear any sound cues, which are kind of important. They're kind of a big deal. And it made the whole encounter feel weird. I was like, man, I hope this doesn't spoil it. Shout-outs to the team. The viewers who were like, okay, there's an add-on called Audio Muffler or something like that, which allows you to individually control the volumes of every sound in the game. Then proceeded to try and find out which sound file in the game is the specific one. Again, shout out to the squad who went through and was like, I believe it's skeleton NPC hit 1, something like that, or 2 or 3. So we muted all of them and fixed it finally. We had to throw away 10 or so pulls just testing audio to try and get this fixed so we could actually play out the fight. It looks hellacious, to be sure. It looks hellacious. It is just bullets upon bullets in a very tight and close space. Again, not my skill set, man. Not my skill set. I'm a heavy-handed caveman boy, but we're here. We stand on the precipice. What's interesting is the people who were very vocal, including in my own team, that I was not going to be able to do this. Like, it was well beyond the experience of not just Terraria, but bullet hells in general to get over this hump. I still, like, I don't know, dude. This last fight is something else. So they've obviously checked the videos and are like, I don't know. We've done everything else. There's one final hurdle to overcome. And I don't care at this point. Like, I'm pretty proud we got over some of this stuff because I wasn't expecting it to be full bullet hell nightmare. I wasn't expecting for that, and I don't do that. But we're there. We're at the last boss. How can we give up now, right? Well, let's see. I've got a day of prog. I'll let you know how it goes. Bye, guys.